AdAlta is a clinical stage biotechnology business addressing the need for effective cellular immunotherapies for the treatment of solid cancers. Through its East to West strategy, the company is integrating Asia's prowess in T-cell therapy development with the efficiency and quality of Australia's clinical and manufacturing ecosystem to create a pathway connecting Eastern innovation in cellular immunotherapies with Western regulated markets and patients. Ahead of appearing at the Stocks on Track conference in Sydney, the CEO and Managing Director of AdAlta, Tim Oldham, joins us to discuss the next steps. Tim, welcome to the Stock Network.
Thank you for having me today.
Now, in your latest ASX announcements, you mentioned that the East to West strategy has multiple advantages. Can you talk us through the highlights of the strategy and also why you believe it's a compelling move for the company?
Our East to West strategy is our core growth priority going forward. It's the mechanism by which AdAlta is going to be able to rapidly develop multiple clinical stage assets, which for our shareholders is really the key to ensuring that we have a regular news flow with multiple potential inflection points over time. This has been something we've been trying to develop for probably the 5 years since I joined the company. Now that we have 8214 through phase 1 clinical trials and ready to move out of the company, this is where our future is going to be. Our East to West cell therapy strategy refers to our strategy of in-licensing highly differentiated cellular immunotherapies from Asia and westernizing them through Australia. What is the opportunity we're trying to solve? What are the advantages this brings? Let's start with the patients we're trying to serve. Solid cancers represent 90% of all cancers. They still are one of the major causes of deaths around the world. And there are still many, many cancers where we still do not have good outcomes and where life expectancy is measured in months. We know that cell-based immunotherapies, where we harness a patient's own immune system as a living drug, is transforming outcomes for blood cancer patients. Now we're wanting to bring that same hope to patients with solid cancers. And the FDA in the US has just approved in the last year the first 2 T-cell immunotherapies for solid cancers, demonstrating that the technology is now ready. We know that 60% of the world's clinical trials in these novel, highly differentiated therapies are now happening in Asia, on our doorstep. We know that Australia has one of the best ecosystems for the manufacturing and delivery of these advanced therapies into patient clinical trials. We know that AdAlta has the capabilities to translate a product from preclinical into a phase 1 clinical trial, and our East to West strategy brings all of those together in one place. We know for our partners in Asia that one of their challenges is how do they bring their technology into a Western environment where large pharmaceutical companies will engage with them. Big Pharma is scared of the challenges of due diligence, technology transfer, and diversifying the ethnic background of the patients before they'll engage with these therapies. Our Asian partners don't have the resources or the networks or the capabilities to deliver those solutions. That's exactly where we fit in the gap. So we're a force multiplier for our Asian partners to westernize their technology and make it available and ready for ultimately our Western biopharmaceutical partners. And for AdAlta, we're able to do this in a really highly capital efficient way. We act as the asset manager and operator. We use third-party financing in order to fund those clinical programs. We're not paying huge upfront, so the return on investment, if we're successful, should be very, very significant.
Excellent. And talking about the future, Tim, you've just returned from the JP Morgan Healthcare Week and also recently said your strategy has been validated to become a core growth driver for AdAlta. What are the key catalysts that investors should be looking out for in the coming months?
So let's talk about that validation first, because I think it's really important. One of the key message at JP Morgan was the rise of innovation in China. The world now recognizes that China is not a copier of biopharmaceutical innovation. It is now leading innovation in certain areas. And this is exemplified by the huge amount of investment that's going into new companies being spun out of Chinese companies and funded in the US, particularly around metabolic drugs. So this was the talk of the JP Morgan Healthcare Conference. And so to be sitting on the front end of that wave with our east to west strategy is really, really exciting. And particularly when every investor we've spoken to says, wow, that's an incredible business model. Yes, I get the innovation that's coming out of China. Yes, you're filling a need. That for us was the confirmation that we needed to say, yes, we've got something here. That was then backed up by us signing 3 exclusive negotiation term sheets for our first 3 assets under our east to west cell therapy strategy. So we now have 90 to 120 days to negotiate definitive agreements and complete our due diligence to secure those first assets for our strategy. So looking forward to what are the milestones in the near term. The next milestones will be starting to see the initial funding coming in through the third parties that will help us be leveraging our capabilities into these assets, followed by the securing of the major financing and the definitive agreements to license these assets. That should be by the middle of the year, and 1 to 3 of all 3 of the existing assets will be in that mix. We'd expect to begin tech transfer into an Australian manufacturing facility, preferably our strategic partner, Cell Therapies, in the second half of 2025, and our first clinical trial will start in 2026. So really robust news flow over the next 12 months, and a lot coming in the next 6 months to really demonstrate that the momentum we've been talking about for a year is actually real and starting to deliver on our pipeline.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Tim, for talking us through your east to west strategy. Look forward to hearing more when you appear at the Stocks on Track conference very soon here in Sydney.
Looking forward to it.